Uncle, how are you? Assalamu alaikum, welcome.
Thank you, Your Excellency, for this opportunity to talk to you, and congratulations on the 19th anniversary of the July 22nd revolution. Now, maybe begin by asking, since the last celebration in 2012, how would you gauge the trend of national development vis-a-vis the principles and ideals of the revolution?
Auzubillahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Alhamdulillah rabbil alamin. Alhamdulillah rabbil alamin. Alhamdulillah rabbil alamin. First of all, I want to thank you for the congratulations. I want to thank and congratulate every African, every Gambian, and every true friend of the Gambian revolution. I thank the Almighty Allah for this occasion, and most of the Gambian women and youth who have always rallied behind me and the ideas that I stand for, and contributed a great deal to the socio-economic development of this country, especially the women, most of the women. We should say thank God, because from the last celebration to date, a lot of things, positive things have happened. We were able to cushion the effects of the crop failure to the extent that nobody starved. At least as far as we know, nobody died of hunger in this country, whereas in other countries it would have been a different story. Despite the fact that we faced such difficulty, we lost almost 60% of our export commodities, that's the grounds and others. We were able to stabilize the economy, though we dropped from 6% growth to 5 or 4.5% at varying parts of the period of the year. But you can also see that from the infrastructural platform, we have completed a lot of projects, and new projects have been started, and that is the Brikama Daslame Dimbaya Road, and the other road infrastructure. Of course, also you see the streets of Banjul are being paved with concrete this time around, because every 2 years, 3 years, we have to redo the streets of Banjul because of the high water table. And of course, also, people may agree or disagree, but I think we have put in more capacity with regards to the energy sector, which is very important for socioeconomic development and, of course, for our bid for industrialization. So a lot of positive things have taken place. If you were to ask me whether it is gone according to your wish, no, because it's a little bit too slow. But we should be very thankful that in this part of the world, it is a story that is different from the rest of the sub-region, the region, and so we are really very grateful. So we have a lot of positive things. We have of course, the University of the Gambia coming up, and the actual construction of it coming up, the completion of the first phase of the Banjul International Airport development, and of course the improvement on the lighting system. Most of these things are taken for granted by Gambians, and so people hardly notice them or make comments about them. But a lot has been done over the past 12 months from the last celebration. Yeah.
Right. Would you cite any specific area where you would have wanted to see major changes, and so far this couldn't happen?
3 areas: health, agriculture, and the energy sector. I would have loved to see more drastic changes for the better, but some of the resources have to be diverted to cushion the effect of food shortages due to the very bad rainfall pattern that we have. Some of the, in fact, the projects we had for the RVTH then and now EFSTH, we have to modernize and build a diagnostic center where we will be able to take care of a lot of ailments and then have a correct diagnosis and, of course, treatment if possible. Where it is not possible, the patient would only be referred for that type of treatment and not diagnosis. And unfortunately, those funds have to be used for buying seeds, getting food for people that were supposed to suffer.
Yeah, on the economic front, we have seen some fluctuation in terms of the stability of the dollar, especially against the US dollar, and the government did come up with measures here and there. Would you like to comment about that? Would you talk about the genesis of that problem or issue?
The fluctuation of the dollar exchange rate has nothing to do with the economic reality. There are some people out there who are bent on sabotaging the economy. You know, several attempts have been made to destabilize this country, and they have failed. And so the only way they think they can bring problems to this country is to sabotage the economy, which we are not going to tolerate. We are pinpointing we now know exactly who are behind this, and we are going to take drastic action against them after a while, because we're trying to know the entire net. Because if you remember, one of the principal kingpins of this economic sabotage has been expelled from the country. But we realized that we made a big mistake, because it's like just taking one criminal out of the gang when you have other. It's like when you fight terrorism. You get only the head out, another person steps into his shoes. And so if you really want to be effective, you have to know the extent of the gang and at least make sure that you deal with the people that are indispensable in the criminal operation of the gang. When you take those people out, you neutralize the gang, and this is exactly what we are going to do. But it has nothing to do, anybody who tells you that it has to do with the economy of the country is lying. It is not true. It has nothing to do with the economic realities of the country. For example, the dollar was $31 years. In fact, it was 30. Then moved to 31.5 for a week. And whilst we went, when I was away, I think this was my last trip in Japan, on a daily basis, the dollar was increasing. In 3 days, it was 35, 36, 37. Obviously, that doesn't reflect economy collapsing that fast. It has nothing to do with the economy. You have so many players in the system that are also not Gambians. Now, their only intention is to make as much money as possible. And the same criminal band that has destroyed the economies of most West African countries are the same criminal gangs that are here now. And what do? They just set up gangs and speculate. They have cell phones, they call. Today, the dollar, this is what we should ask for. And these are foreigners. As I said before, we welcome foreigners to this country. They can live as peacefully as any Gambian in this country, as long as their stay in this country would not be to the detriment of the Gambian people. And so, enough is enough. We know who they are, and we're going to take appropriate action. It's not that the dollars are not available. There are a lot of dollars, but people are sitting on them, and most of these people are foreigners. So you will see what we are going to do, because now at least we know 80% of the gang and what they do.
And this also has an attendant effect on the price of basic commodities. I'm sure there are measures as well to take care of.
Obviously, the dollar is the main currency used in international trade. And so all the importers in this country use the dollar to import their commodities. Now, obviously, if the price of the value of the dollar is so high, it's also going to reflect in their goods. So, obviously, it has a direct impact, negative impact on the availability and affordability of basic commodities, and that's why we're going to, even if that was not the case, we're going to take drastic action, because the whole scheme is criminal.
Okay. Now let's talk about the theme for this year's celebration, which centers around living by the dictates of our religion. That's an interesting thing, especially for an outsider who might be tempted to ask, okay, the Gambia is supposedly a secular state, and yet still the state is putting so much emphasis on religion. Would you like to comment about that?
First, it is even haram for anybody to call yourself secular, because secular is not a religion. We live by our religion. Irrespective of where you stay, you are either a Muslim or a Christian in Africa. So the idea of secularism is non-existent in this country. We are not a secular state. We are Muslims and Christians living in this country. So secularism has nothing to do with that. Everybody expects to be judged by the Almighty Allah. And so you cannot be judged by being secular or non-secular. What is important is you go and face the Almighty Allah, the ultimate day of judgment, based on the religion that you follow. And so secularism has nothing to do with my religion and my belief and as an individual. So outsiders can say whatever they want, because in the first place they also don't believe in any religion. So they will not understand what I'm talking about. But to solve all the problems of this world today, from nefarious, ungodly attributes, vices, violence. If you live by your religion, what your religion says you should be, if you are a follower of that religion, I think the world would live in peace. Christians live according to the teachings of the Bible. Muslims live according to the teachings of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the Quran. We will live in peace. Because there are so many confusing ideologies that are being imposed. Now, I don't think it is fair also for somebody outside of this African continent to come and tell Africans how we should live. After all, the issue of governance and human rights started after we have gained our independence. When we were colonial subjects, the idea of democracy and human rights were never non-existent. And so the issue of parliamentary democracy was also non-existent, despite the fact that the colonial master had his parliament. Tell me in the Gambia where the colonial parliament was. But even during that time, they call the colonial administration secular. But Muslims and Christians, that's why you have mosques and churches. And so the religion is not a political system. Secularism, on the opposite of it, is a political system. But what is more important for me is for everybody to live according to your religion, in order to ensure that, one, we are not confused. We are not being confused by this new bombardment of ideologies that are anti-human in the first place. So, if I tell you to walk backwards, or I tell you, okay, as from now, you should teach your children to eat with the left hand. Now, I think the only way to solve your problem, if you are confused, is to look at what your religion says about what hand you should use to eat. That's what we are talking about. So secularism is political, religion is not political. Its religion is divine. People that are outside, the way they see, it's not as important as we that are inside, the way we behave. And if we behave according to our religion, we will not be divided. If we want to really achieve what we want, I don't think we should go around offending God, because if you do so, you're calling for Allah's wrath, and we have seen what we are seeing, catastrophic, inexplicable phenomena today. Is that what I want for the country? No. And that's why I want us to live according to your religion, because all of us, when we die, they're not going to ask you which political party you belong to. First, they want to know whether you're a Christian or a Muslim, whether you are a good Muslim or a good Christian. They don't judge you whether you are a PRC or otherwise. And that is why religion is indispensable in today's world especially. If religion was relevant then, it is more relevant and indispensable today.
Yeah. So you just highlighted the role of religion in maintaining peace, especially in the national context, and that brings to mind...
Not only national context, but internationally. Universally, religion is indispensable in maintenance of peace and stability.
Yeah, that takes us back to the local situation. What's your impression of the state of crime and criminality since the implementation of the death penalty and the ensuing moratorium that you issued? What's your impression of the level of crime and criminality? Has there been any major changes?
Yes and no. Immediately after the executions, even break-ins or breaking-ins were very rare until we announced the moratorium. The day we announced the moratorium, within 48 hours, 4 people were mercilessly and brutally killed. And so you see one brutal murder after the other. But it has gone down for now. I don't know whether it's a consequence of my statement that I reserve the right to put aside the moratorium. Because if, at the end of the day, the law says that there is a reason why the law was promulgated in the first place. And so, even in religion, in both the Quran and the Bible, an eye for an eye is a divine law, justice system. The crime rate, as far as I'm concerned, sometimes also it depends on how active the police are. But with regards to violent crime, unfortunately, it starts from the family level, and then it ends up in fatalities. Well, there hasn't been, since the last murder case that I had on the news, there hasn't been another one so far, touch wood. But as I said, I can always lift the moratorium and have them executed, because that is what the law says. So let nobody think that the moratorium is permanent. No. Depending on the situation, it will be taken out and people will be dealt with according to law.
The agenda of repealing the death penalty is not on your table at all?
It will never be on my table. Never. Because all the good law, divine laws have the death penalty. And so why should I take it out? If the Gambian people decide to take it out, yes. If the Gambian people decide to take it out, that is the decision of the Gambian people, and then they bear the consequences. But not for me as a head of state to repeal it because of pressure from outside. I will never, on my own, repeal it. The death penalty should be there because in our religion, the death penalty is there. And this is the religion, this is what is prescribed by the Almighty Allah. So as an individual, and that is why I will not pardon anybody condemned to death. That's my philosophy. I will never pardon rapists, thieves, murderers, and drug traffickers. Never. As well as human traffickers. Never.
Now let's talk a bit about the foreign policy. Of late or recently, you granted an interview to a neighboring channel, and you talked about the Gambia's position vis-a-vis the Casamance problem. I'm sure the Gambian populace would want to share those ideas and comments of yours.
Well, what you are referring to as granting an interview to a foreign channel was actually a joint interview where JTS was there and 3 or 4 other international news media. So I don't know why it is attributed to only TFM, because maybe the guy asked that specific question. But as far as I'm concerned, I think Gambians are aware of the fact that any criminal who escapes from the Gambia goes to Senegal and then ends up having not only Senegalese identification documents, including passports, but some of them diplomatic passports and protection from the state of Senegal, which is unacceptable. Now, the impression they try to give, which is a violation of international law and also a violation of the ECOWAS statute. In ECOWAS, there's a convention of ECOWAS or a resolution of ECOWAS that says that anybody who's planning something evil against any country in West Africa cannot be given residence in any country. In fact, that also is the ECOWAS extradition treaty. That anybody who wants to destabilize another country, if he comes to the Gambia, he should be handed over to that country through ECOWAS. So, the idea of human rights or whatever, Gambia is a death penalty state is nonsense. It's just hypocrisy. Now, why would you even go to the extent people have plotted coups against my government, people wanted to destroy this country. They escape. Not only do you grant them asylum, but also provide them with security and a platform to talk nonsense. This is unacceptable. Now, even thieves, criminals, those who are engaged in drug dealing, when they escape the law here, when they jump here, they go to Senegal, and they are still in Senegal. And the Senegalese government cannot say they are not aware of it. So how can you be a good neighbor if my enemies, you are the host of my enemies? They host all the people that do not wish this country well in the name of Western pressure, in total violation of the Geneva Convention, in total violation of the convention, the ECOWAS Convention on Transborder Crime. Now, how would you feel if I say, oh, you are a brother, and each time you come around, somebody wants to kill you, he escapes and comes to my house, and he lives here peacefully? How would you feel? Now, also, what type of neighbors are we talking about? Where only products from Senegal can be sold in the Gambia, but products from the Gambia cannot be sold in Senegal. So this is diplomacy also is about tit for tat. And for so many years we have accepted a lot of nonsense, and we are not going to accept that anymore. We are going to reciprocate to the letter. You want me to put out the fire in your house? Yes, I've been doing that on several occasions. But still, you piling up arsonists that want to set my house on fire. That's not going to continue. And I think all Gambians know that. Senegalese come to this country without even a laissez-passer. Nobody bothers them. But Gambians find it difficult to enter any part of Senegal without a laissez-passer. The relationship cannot be a one-way street. And that's the reality. All Gambians know that. The way you are even treated at the airport, on transit, just boarding a plane to go to somewhere. It happens that most of the flights end in Dakar, and Gambians are obliged to go to Dakar. And then we call each other brothers. That's nonsensical. And no Senegalese has ever been harassed in this country or at the Gambian airport. Any Senegalese who has a problem here is because he's a criminal. But nobody will be subjected to any harassment. Even official delegations sometimes are treated in a very hostile manner at the airport. I've talked to Wad about it. Each time you tell me, oh, I didn't know about it. And I also spoke to the current government that this is what has been happening and it's not going to be tolerated anymore. So sometimes also in diplomacy is tit for tat. And I think we have come to that stage. A cup of, even a gift, if you send a bag of sugar, it will not go to Senegal. As a gift. Do they think we don't also need to protect our economy? We will. We can also give them the same reasons that they are giving for not allowing anything to go in. Neighborliness is about reciprocating, about reciprocity. And this is exactly what I'm going to implement to the letter until things are on a two-way street. The relationship cannot be a one-way street where benefits go to another country and then ill will goes the other way. We are not going to accept that.
Sir, it's another rainy season, and the farming season has started in earnest. What's up this year on your own plate?
Well, I normally don't discuss in advance what I'm going to do. What I will do as usual, farm, plant as many crops as possible. Because despite the poor harvest, to be quite honest, I've never lost more than 40% of my agricultural endeavor at any given year, no matter how bad it is. I've never lost more than 40%. So, why? Because I don't put all my eggs in one basket. One, when you ask, don't ask the so-called paper agriculturalists, because they will tell you it's not going to work. Now, if I tell you that you can have 4 crops At the same time, on one piece of land, you will say, oh, there's something wrong with the president. But so, in most of my farms, I have more than 2 crops. So, out of 3 crops, I will harvest 2 in the rainy season on the same farm. Also, it is a question of timing. Now, you can also harvest something, get rid of it, and plant a new crop on the same farm. What do? Now, I have multiplied the seeds of this 40 days variety of rice. Now, we are starting with that one, 40 days variety, in areas where we want to plant sesame, because sesame requires only a few days of rain. So, we are planting this 40 days variety together with corn and Philippine pink. Now, we will harvest the rice first, then of course the corn, and then the Philippine pink, and we will still have enough time to put either sesame or watermelon. So agriculture is about planning. Also, don't take chances. You know that this is heavy, loamy clay soil, prone to waterlogging. And you plant granules there, it's not going to work. If you put coos there also, it's not going to work because coos doesn't like waterlogging. So the best bet, your best bet is to put rice or crops that require a lot of water. So that is what is up. I wouldn't give you more details other than that. Also, don't just have one farm the size of this office and you expect to feed your entire family with that because you want to finish weeding on time. Thank God the month of Ramadan came before weeding, because that is always a problem when farmers prefer to go for a smaller farm and finish weeding during the month of Ramadan. I think if we all make an effort, don't also bank on one farm. More importantly also is the fact that today most of the men are busy only concentrating on commercial crops, cash crops. Now, in those days when we were younger, yes, it is the women that predominantly grow rice, but the men also grow coos and millet interspersed within their granite farms. But now, basically, they say, it's the women that should grow food crops, and the men granules and cotton and whatever. It is wrong. I think both sides should grow for both commercial and for consumption. But as I said, success in agriculture is a question of planning and knowing what to do and knowing your soil as well. Also, don't take too many, don't have too many big farms when you know you will not be able to weed them. If you don't weed them, you will lose at least, automatically you're going to lose at least 60% of the yield. If you have a farm and you don't weed it, so that you lose everything. So it's a question of timing, it's a question of planning. Don't bite what you cannot chew. Don't buy something that is too small to the extent that the mouth will not even know that something is inside. What I mean. So agriculture is either you do it or you don't do it. But you cannot do it halfway. So it is very important that, if it is my message to farmers, is that we should all go back to the farm. No matter who you are, whether you are a minister or whatever, let us grow what we eat. That will help our economy. Because imagine the amount of money that was diverted from projects to cushion the effect of the bad rainfall pattern that we had in 2011, coming to 2012. So food is indispensable. Also, Findi has disappeared from the face of this country. It is in the markets, but it's very expensive. And I think today, with regards to cash crops, I think Findi is the most expensive crop in this country today. Maybe second to cashew. Because I don't think a bag of cashew will cost you $2,000.
Groundnut has also been a major cash crop, and I mean this has is a contributing factor, major contributing factor to support the economy. And the past couple of years has seen a decline in the state of groundnut as a major cash crop. Is this because the farmers have shifted attention to other?
No, it is a consequence of the bad rainfall pattern. But you realize that there was a bad harvest in. This is not the first time anyway. There was, I think, 2001. We had a problem, and that was the reason why we had the first economic crisis in 2003. Okay, now, but still, that did not dampen the spirit of the groundnut producers. Now, in fact, if anything, the problem we have with agricultural diversification in this country is the people's dogged attraction to groundnut. They are infatuated with groundnut to the extent that we all know that as a cash crop, cash will bring more and it's less labor intensive compared to groundnuts. Findi is less labor intensive and it yields in more money. Even sesame. But no matter what you say, people are going to go for groundnuts for one reason or the other. So it is becoming very difficult. We are doing everything possible to diversify our agriculture and go in for high yielding, less labor intensive cash crops, but it's a daunting challenge because people are so conservative and they tell, oh, from our great grandfathers we know nothing as a cash crop but granules, and this is the problem. But if we are talking about GGC buying granules, it is dwindling because farmers are after better prices. So, but let nobody give you the impression that last year there weren't a lot of granules. There were a lot of granules, but you cannot see it because GGC was not the sole or exclusive purchaser of granules last year. Indians came and bought larger quantities and better prices, and that is why, to the extent that GGC, I don't think they even bought anything because I think their mills have been closed. Even the women that normally used to have that huge granule cell heap, there's nothing now. It's a sad story. I hope next year they will, or this year they will offer better prices to the farmers. After all, what I care for is what farmers get. If farmers have the right to, and if we end up eventually, farmers sitting down with a buyer and say, well, this is the way I will sell my ground, this is the price, take it or leave it, and then you end up buying at the price proposed by the farmer, that's what I want. Then the farmers will become very wealthy and be liberated. So, GGC have to prepare. If they really want to be, if they don't want to go extinct this year, they better prepare money because there is no way I'm going to stop people coming in with better prices for agricultural produce, whatever it is. So let nobody give you the illusion that the granule production is in decline because you didn't see much activity at GGC. No, it's because people came and had better offer, and the Gambian farmers were free to sell their granules to whoever they want to, and this is what has happened.
This is July 22nd we're talking about, and before we wrap up, I'd want you to cite maybe a very memorable moment that day in 1994. That narrative is very exciting and just something very, very memorable that you'll always remember that particular day.
You see, this was on the 21st. It was a Thursday. And throughout the 2 weeks prior to this, everybody was talking about something going to happen. After all, let me take you back. Jawara was supposed to come on the 16th, I think, 16th of July. And so there was this rumors about coup. And then he didn't come. Changed the date. After, in actual fact, the date changed. We were ready for him on the 16th. And then there was this rumors because somebody backed out of the group and informed the Nigerians. So we had to go back to the drawing board. Some people are saying, no, now that everybody knows about it, we should call it off. Then he said he was going to come on the 21st. I made it very clear that even if he comes in August, I'm not backing down, because this is not something that you plan and then stop, because there are a lot of consequences, a lot at stake. People are backing out and reporting. I was living next to Yahya Jammeh, and because now everybody was talking about it, and fingers were pointing at me and those who were around me, and Ed was part of people that were close to me. So he said he had no weapon. So I told him, okay, come, I'll give you a weapon, a Kalashnikov, with about 3 magazines. And it was wrapped in a towel. And I think a raincoat was put on. As we were coming from the military police to the highway, whilst Edu was having the Kalashnikov, I met up with Yahya Jammeh, and I told him, oh, good, there's something I wanted to tell you. We had very excellent relations with all his children anyway. So I told him, look, Dawda, you know your old man, nobody wants to hurt him. But I said, yes. I said, are you not hearing these rumors about a coup, this and that and that? He said, yes. So I told him, well, it is true. And then Edward was like, he stepped on my foot and he looked at me and I ignored him. He said, it is true, if he comes he's going to be overthrown, but I think the best way out for him is to resign from there and then continue his holidays. But if he comes to this country, he's going to be overthrown. Now, in fact, I even forgot that I gave Edward a weapon. And Ed was just bumping into me. I was wondering what is wrong with him. And I would look at him and he would give me such a look. And then I was saying, yes, I've been hearing this and I thought it was just a rumor. I told him, well, I won't give you details. But if it is true, on the 21st, the old man was coming. And we had already prepared everything. I had to supply all the weapons at the time, which I had with me as commander of the military police. And we were going to take those weapons to do the operation and then break into the armory. So we had our own code. And still we had this very long list of people that we were supposed to deal with instantly once the operation starts. So I had to go to the airport. Now, the guard of honor went, and for some reason, the NSS was adamant that the army was going to do something that day. Because in the morning, the late Keita Sise was told, he said he would receive a call. And somebody, he said the voice was mine, which I doubt, that I called him and told him that I was going to mount a coup at the airport. Well, it was true there was going to be a coup at the airport, but I didn't call him. It is not true that I called him. So the tension was so high at the airport that they searched the guard of honor. But before they went to the airport, I gathered all of them and I told them, okay, you know what? Don't worry, I've already done all the necessary prayers. And that is going to happen. But I don't think it will be. I don't want to dampen their spirit, and I told them that go to the airport, I'll find you there. And they were given the ammunition, which they hit. And I told them that even if you are searched, nobody's going to find this. So they were shocked when, for the first time, in the presence of the diplomats, they decided to search the guard of honor. And then somebody told me, and I said, look, don't worry. So I went to the airport. But then one Nigerian colonel insisted, he was sent from headquarters, and insisted that if I have to go to the airport, he will go with me. And in his car. I told him, well, okay. We went. I had the pistol. So I came down, and then everyone others were looking at me, and I laughed. And they were very uncomfortable. My mission was to look at the situation and decide whether we will launch it from the airport or not. But I realized that where the tension was, a lot of people were going to die. The then state presidential guards had vehicles surrounding the apron with machine guns. I was not worried about that. I was more worried about the people that were there to receive the president. So I looked at Edward and I told him, I just touched my forehead saying that you have to reorganize. But before that, what happened was the rest of the weapons were supposed to be sent in as soon as I was at the airport. When I came to the airport, and these people were told that as soon as they saw me, they panicked. Trojan is still alive, he was still there. They said they were not comfortable with me at the apron with a pistol. So the Nigerian colonel, I think Onibi, came and said, Jammeh, you know you're making a lot of people uncomfortable. I said, by what? He said, well, the way you walk, and then, these guys from the president are not comfortable. I said, they will never be comfortable with me because they know what I'm going to do, and I'm going to do it. And then he looked at me and said, Jammeh, if it were in Nigeria, you would be shot. I said, but this is not Nigeria. And even if it were in Nigeria, I wouldn't be shot without having so many people shot too. Tell them I'm a walking dead man. What I believe in, I'm going to carry it out, even if it means that. Say, okay, will you just give me the pistol so that these people will calm down the situation? I said, oh, if that is the case, I can give you. I'm more dangerous without a weapon than with a weapon. Knowing that most of these rabbits, I call them rabbits, that are having machine guns around, I can always go and take 6, 3, 4 machine guns without a shot being fired. So just take it. Jammeh, you are making me now uncomfortable. I said, is that why they sent you to come? Because normally none of you would come to the airport. They told you to come to the camp, come with me because I'm coming to the airport. He said, no, that's not it. No, Jammeh, we trust you. I said, well, you know about that. Whether you trust me or not, I don't care. What they are telling you is true, and I'm behind it. Who is behind me, I won't tell you. He said, you see, Jammeh, stop these jokes. So the old man came, and I sent a signal to, I won't give you details anyway, to the camp to bring the weapons. Because the way we were treated now was pissing me off. And wherever I went, the officers were just looking at me. I said, okay, now I'm going to do it. I was having consideration to massive loss of life, but now here I'm being treated like a pariah or whatever, as a criminal by a foreign officer. I'm not going to take it. So I called the camp. Fortunately or unfortunately, I couldn't get somebody who had the weapons to bring. Then the guard of honor, the old man came, and then this Turojane said that I had this webbing, which I always had all the time, and I think Susan also saw it. And I wrote on the webbing, born to be dangerous. He said, then they asked for me to give away that webbing because it's intimidating. I said, okay. I handed over. So the old man came, did his guard of honor, and I told Edu, reorg. That was what I told him. That means cancel everything, we will meet. Let nobody do anything stupid. Now, I wanted to rush to Yunum to find out what's going on. But then the old man, we allowed him to go because there was no way we could do it that without a bloodbath. Now, when I was coming, then I found a confrontation between the then so-called presidential guard and the soldiers that went on the guard of honor. And the soldiers, the state guard, so-called commandos were saying, "Du da nga mën a sóob, da nga waroon a def dara da ngeen seet." So I came behind. And then I didn't know that the Nigerian was behind to monitor me. Then I saw his vehicle coming. So I heard them talking, and then they were exchanging insults. So I overtook the military truck and I told them, just don't tell them anything. You just go back to barracks. But in their presence, I told the TSG that I called them, saying, I'll come on for what are you people saying? Oh, you said we wanted to do something. I said, no, sir, okay, you're Bokulosi. I go, yes, I'm part of the army, part and parcel of the army. And I told them, and you are saying that, oh, we are cowards. Obviously, you know that I'm not a coward. So this is the most intriguing moment of the July 22nd. The 21st of July, we went to the airport. We later realized that because we separated the ammunition from the arms themselves. And the arms were supposed to come one side, I'm there. They never turned up because somebody threw them in the toilet. So if we had launched the operation there, we wouldn't have had any backup. So then the same 21st, I came back to, as I was coming back to my residence in Bakau, the soldiers were crying. And I had to tell them, it's not a failure. They said, sir, we have really failed. And we are just wondering what the consequences are going to be tomorrow. I laughed, I smiled. And then somebody said, Oga, he doesn't take anything serious. This is a dangerous situation. They can arrest some of us from our residence. I said, no, don't worry. But because some people are I couldn't tell them precisely when we are going to strike. And I told them, look, anyway, there's an exercise too. So someone say, look, I have to rush to the hospital. First thing you want to have an ED because they can arrest us on no exercise. So, and we were there, and everybody was confused. I said, okay, I called for Edu. Now Edu came and said, sir, now what are we going to do? I said, you know what? What do you mean, what are we going to do? We have to reorganize. Then, Warrant Officer Class 2, who ended up being general, came and said, as soon as he can say, Oga reorg. Say, what do you mean? He said, you have to plan another 6 months. So I don't say what to do. I told him, I'll contact you whenever I'm ready. He said, what do you mean by when you are ready? Now all these boys are discouraged, they are going on. I told them, look, no. It has not failed, but I'll contact you. And I told him, so if you are sleeping with full battle dress. Around 2 a.m., I became so angry. So I got the rest of some other weapons, and then I had already called Yundum. And still boys were crying. I told them, okay, now I am coming. But they still wouldn't believe. So there was not, strangely enough, there was only one taxi. And this taxi is the slowest vehicle you can ever find. So I hired it, and I told the guy, okay, you know what? No, I used to hire one taxi driver. I went, he said he has no vehicle. I think for some reason he had a problem with the boss. And he decided to look for another taxi that was available for me. So, and I told him, okay, now, I wrote a check and gave it to BMW. I told the driver, we cannot pay you now. But tomorrow, before 10 o'clock, boy will go and cash this check and pay the driver. So BMW said, I understood what happened. I said, so what? He said, can I join? I said, join what? He said, okay, at least you leave me with a weapon. I said, nothing is going to happen. We're going for the exercise. Okay, I know you. You know, he was in the army. He was then kicked out and he was working for the Observer. I told him, no, I wouldn't. But upon retrospect, he said, you know, when you were in America, they wanted to come and raid your house and take your things out. I said, yes. But did they do that? He said, no. Yeah. So maybe they would want to do the same thing. So what are you going to do? You're going to shoot them. So I gave him what we call an SMG, a submachine gun. And I told him, okay, you keep this, but if you shoot anybody, you'll be responsible for whatever your actions are. Now I will end up shooting you as well. So one, just go and cash the check, come and give the rest of the money to the maid to cook, nice lunch, and then I'll see you after. I went to get Edu. First time I knew where he lived. I shouted, Edu, 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 nobody could. And then they had such horrible dogs. And the taxi driver was telling me, if I put the engine off, it will not start again. And it was like, Edu, hey, sings, nothing happened. So I ended up taking big stones and pelting the roof. Pum, pum, the dogs were backing. Then the mom, his late mother came out and she gave me such a look. But she recognized me and said, you, where are you taking my son to? To safe hands. He's sleepy. I say, wake him up and tell him there's an emergency. We have to go. He's late for the exercise. Say, which exercise? Say, with the Americans. So why don't you go? He will come later. I said, no, I'm his commander, and I cannot leave him behind. Otherwise, he's going to. We will lock him up for being late. The mom went. It took about 5-10 minutes. It was like hours. Edu came and said, "So what are we going to do?" I said, "We're going to get the guy." Then I had all the papers, all the meetings, and then I had a list. Before leaving, I told Edu, "This is the list." He said, "Yes." And I tore it. And when we reached the camp, I told every soldier that there will be no shooting, and in fact, they were ready, they wanted us to move at, we arrived there at 4:30, and they wanted us to move. I told them no. They were surprised when I told the boys that normally used to prepare attire for me. When I told them to go and start the attire. And then Edu came and said, "Sir, do you know what time it is?" I said, "Yes. Just load the trucks with the weapons." That's the day. That's the story.
We thank you so much, Your Excellency, for that very interesting narrative, and of course for this interview. Just the last word for Gambians. Of course, I've taken so much of your time.
My final word to Gambians for this interview. I didn't do it to enrich myself or my family. I did it to save this country from backwardness, and I know that this country has the potential to become one of the best countries in the world. That is why we did it. We didn't do it out of hatred for anybody, because then our actions would have been different. We had a list of almost 155 people that we were supposed to execute outright. And somewhere at 2:30, by the time I was about to leave to get Edu. Before Edu left, I told him, "I'm going to burn, I destroyed the paper." Because I didn't see the rationale of killing people. Then, and also today, I don't see that rationale of killing people. So whatever I do is for the interest of the Gambians and Africans, because we Africans have passed through a lot of degrading things. From savages, dark continent, for the interest of the people of the Gambia, not for personal interest. But we must build this country. We've come a long way, 19 years, there's no turning back. But we can gain faster, we can develop faster if we are united, focused, and put our faith in the only supreme authority, and that's the Almighty Allah. We put our faith, do good, love each other, and work together, this country will become an economic superpower by the grace of the Almighty Allah. I know why I'm talking. We change from middle income to economic superpower. We have the resources that we can use to propel this country to surpass Qatar and others. And that is also the reason why the locals want somebody, a puppet in this country, that will give them those resources to the detriment of Gambians, and it will never happen. So let us love each other. Let us go according to our religion, because none of the religions, be it Christianity or Islam, tell anybody to hate each other, to hate other people. It's about love. It is about doing what is right. If we all face to the Almighty Allah and do what is right towards each other and love each other, this country can be a heaven on earth. That's my message to Gambians. Let us work together. Let us work for each other and not work against each other or try to destroy each other. The Gambia would always belong to us. And only we, the Gambians, can make it what we want it to be. We have a choice. An economic superpower, and God forbid, a Stone Age country, which of course I would rather die than preside over such a system. I wish every Gambian all the best, and Ramadan Mubarak. I know they say and the fatis. They are normally not very good at fasting, so they cannot smile. So you can see that throughout the interview, they didn't even smile. And even finding it difficult to laugh. I wish you all the best. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum, everybody. I hope you enjoyed the show, and I hope that you can hear me loud and clearly. So, I was enjoying that show a lot, and I saw also that some of you wrote out there in the comment box that you have never seen this interview before. Well, it's like that with many of our Gambian people out there, because even during my time in Gambia, there was a lot of interviews by the State House at that time that was not published, by published, that the public were not aware of these interviews, and they were just available the next day. Sometimes the State House, they would record the interview today without even nobody knowing it, and the next day you will have an interview like that. And also many at the time in Gambia, people are working, and sometimes people don't have even many people they don't even have TV, so they do not have access to watch these shows. So inshallah, that's why also we bringing these messages out, and not only to watch for people who haven't watched the show, but also for people to watch this show with an open heart, because like some of you also wrote in the messages in the comment box that these messages are very, very important. These speeches are very important. You understand? Just compare. You can try and compare this with Adama Barrow. You understand? Compare Adama. 2 seconds. I just want to. I'm getting confused, with all this technology and whatsoever. There's a lot of sound for me. No. What I was saying is that just try to compare Adama Barrow, his vision and his speeches and whatever with His Excellency Yahya Jammeh. Just try, and you can see there's a big difference. You understand? And I do not even have to go into details about where the big differences are, because the differences are very clearly. His Excellency, he have a clear vision of where he wanted to take the Gambia, and his projects. There's a lot of projects he's talking about from 2020 and 25, and the oil resources that we could have benefited from if it was his time. We threw it all away, for what? Because we cannot be patient, and a lot of Gambians, they fall into the to the nonsense propaganda by the Western media, especially BBC and Al Jazeera, because we know in Africa, if BBC and Al Jazeera or CNN they say, then well, it must be true, right? A lot of Africans, they have it like this the African Coca-Cola mentality, as they say, and it's very sad that how they confuse the people. So this is why that now people can see for themselves that what kind of leader they remove from us. You understand? And at the time that the Senegalese forces and the economic forces, they went into the Gambia, I was I was in Europe at that time, and I was following a lot of media at that time about the Gambia, because it was not only Gambian media that was aware of this election. There was a whole world was watching. So, and I could see the way that they were lying, and really, to be frank, to not to take any sides on the election. Really, I could see the way that the BBC and Al Jazeera, the way that they were taking one side of the story and try to make it out of something. The way that they were portraying Yahya Jammeh was not even fair. Even if they say what he was, they called him a dictator or whatever. The way that they portrayed him in their news breaks and whatever it was not fair. So it was, it's crazy. So I could see the way that they were lying, and it's really, really sad. And also, I just want to try and see some of the comments here that you people have been giving me, although that system is a little bit slow, so that I hope that you can bear up with me. So technology is not easy these days, not easy. So there's a lot of comments, and it's really, really nice to see that a lot of you people are engaging and sharing these speeches and interviews, because like I said, they are very important for us to see ourselves and to listen ourselves, because I think it's very important to see where could Jammeh have taken us if he had still been here with all of those plans, because a lot of those development plans that you see of Adam Barrow now is about to go, yeah, and he will put his picture up, before and after picture about bridges and roads and whatsoever. Many of those blueprints and projects, they are APRC and Yahya Jammeh projects, and I don't like using the word APRC projects. It's just that to see that those people, they are trying to demonize, they're actually uprooting themselves by degrading those people. They're degrading other people. They're uprooting themselves by degrading other people in a very nasty way to promote yourself. And it's I lost my I lost my point. Sorry out there, people, because there's so many things. I get frustrated with all this nonsense. While I was talking about the blueprints, I get frustrated when I see that some people are taking credit, and not only are they taking credit. One thing is that they are taking credit, but and then also try to demonize the person that you are taking his credit from. It's just it's really, really nasty. So a lot of those blueprints and projects, they are APRC projects. They came from Yahya Jammeh's vision, and I can only imagine where we would have been now if we have been able to, drain our resource, drain our oil, drill our oil from our resources under Yahya Jammeh regime. Can you imagine if we, with a leader like Yahya Jammeh, with a brave leader like that, can you imagine digging our oil? Then he could have been right when he said that. We remember when he was in Dubai in '94, and Dubai2day, it changed massively just because of the oil. Well, I think that's what the Yahya Jammeh could have done for us. Not that I say that we're going to be like Dubai, because we do not have that amount of oil, but at least we could have moved our country not even one step, maybe 2-3 steps ahead. Now we can see there will be nothing from the oil. Already now they say from the first well, there is no oil, there is no oil. Well, another lie. You understand? First there is oil, then there is no oil. I don't know where they are going with these stories. And if you look at Senegal, they have drilled 11 oil wells. 11. They say that they have 11 successful oil wells in Senegal that has already been drilled. Now, do you see the development of 11 oil drills in Senegal? I do not see even from one oil drill. Yes, Senegal is somehow developed in some way, but it's not even developed. And go to Morocco, you will see much more. That is development. Go to Egypt, that is the kind of development. Go to South Africa, that is development. Dakar and Senegal is not even there. There's not development, brother, because what they are developing themselves with is from the funds of France, because whatever France asks, the Senegalese will ask how high. Understand? France are the masters and Senegalese are the puppets, and that's why they are. If they will develop Senegal, but even Senegal is not developed like that. Yeah, when you go to Dakar and some of the other bigger cities, that you will find it a little bit more developed than Banjul and whatsoever. But at least we did not sell our sovereignty, and we developed. We did never suffer from hunger or whatever. So I can only imagine about these projects that His Excellency where the Gambia could have moved under his leadership, and still we can move, because also we have to remember Allah is greatest. He's the greatest Allah, because when you look at Libya, when you look at in in Libya, in Iraq, and a lot of other places where people they lost their leaders. Not only were they um, drawn against each other, started to kill each other, and they even killed their own leader. But now in all those places, they are screaming for their leader to come back. Or if they're not screaming for their leader to come back, they at least they agree and they admit that their leadership, their country were better under that leadership that they denied before than it is now, and it is all in all the countries. But unfortunately for those countries, they killed their leaders. Their leader has been hanged. If you look at Saddam Hussein, they hang him in front of the whole world. If you look at Gaddafi, one of the most powerful men in the Middle East of Africa together, one of the most powerful even in Europe. He's the one who paid for Sarkozy to become president of France. If you look at those people, um, it's he was killed and found in a hole. You understand? His own people. He was killed like a dog. Powerful men like that was killed like a dog. But now they're regretting. They wish that he can come back. Now Gambians have to remember we have a chance again because, Alhamdulillah, and God knows that this is for a bigger reason. Our president is still alive out there. He's in exile. I don't like using that word because exile is a word for that he's trapped there. People are saying that he's wanted by international law. Well, it's a big lie because like they say also that he was denied visa to go to America. Well, there's reasons maybe for that he's denied to go to US. Well, that's not an issue. But then you can see that if he were wanted by international um, criminal the international community, he would never have applied to go to US. That would be one of the most stupid things to do. So that one also is another lie that they're trying to come up with. Wanted by this and wanted by that. He went with an international agreement. Even Mama Kandi, he was speaking about that at the APRC Congress. He was speaking about you know the the agreement that Yahya Jammeh left with, and he also he was asking, he do not know what is holding Yahya Jammeh to come back, whether he's not ready or whatever it is, but he saw the agreement himself. So let them stop their nonsense and their witch hunting, and even if they want to continue it, I just want to advise people to ignore it, leave it. It will not come to nothing. They will go to the TRC to make nonsense. They will go there and tell stories to make to gain cheap popularity, as they used to say we do. You understand? They will go around there and say a lot of lies. Ignore it. Please ignore it because it will not, now I tell you, so it will not be a surprise. So just ignore those kind of people. They will not come to nothing. Only lies and whatsoever. Yeah, Bass Song also. Thank you very much for all the comments there. He's a natural leader, yes. Yes, that's just what I'm saying also at the beginning. Just look at him and compare him to, uh, his Excellency Adama Barrow as well. Even though that I don't like using the term His Excellency for Barrow, then it's a fact that he is a president right now on papers. Although I still acknowledge Yahya Jammeh as the legitimate ruler of the Gambia, because the way that they tricked and rigged our elections, I still believe that it wasn't fair and that it's not a valid election in my own opinion. Let me say so. For me, that Yahya Jammeh is still a legitimate ruler of the Gambia in that sense. Oh, and also our Sanyang, yes, Auntie, thank you very, very much. Also, thank you very much for all your comments and all your shares. And Jolaman Sajiba, my brother, thank you very, 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 very much. Yeah, Aladdin Vegas Jata, it's a touching story. Yeah, yeah, that's what I'm saying. When he speaks, there's a lot of stories. He's not reading from a script or whatever. He's speaking from his heart, and that's why also we can learn a lot from looking at him, from learning, because the way he talks, he's speaking as he was speaking at that interview as just as he was sitting down having a cup of coffee with someone. So that's how you can get to know His Excellency Yahya Jammeh. You can do that with the coalition. You understand? Because the coalition, they are camera puppets. I can say, the way we can see the way that Adam Barry likes to pose himself with on media with pictures of Prince Charles, and he's very happy posting pictures with other leaders of the West. Why? Because it makes him look powerful. He used it as a propaganda. When we see Jammeh taking pictures with other leaders of heads of state, it's because it's he is there with him. He's just take the picture. But Adam Barrow, every time he's there with Prince Charles, oh, okay, I'm here with Prince Charles. I can use this as a propaganda tool, and he will have his people start taking photos and whatsoever, so he can use it for propaganda later on. And that's also what make Adam Barrow seem powerful. Maybe for some Gambians who are not, you know, going so much into politics and who don't mind and whatever. Maybe they think that, oh yeah, but Adam Barrow is still there, but whatever. Yes, he's still there because he seems powerful because with all of these economic soldiers and support from the West. Because also like Yahya Jammeh said in our previous episode, that he said clearly, even if you kill thousands, they will turn their back and say that that he's fighting something what so and so. If you dance to their tune, if you dance to the tune of the West, you can do whatever you want, whatever you want. Even if you kill thousands, they will turn their back and say you are fighting democracy and whatsoever. Just like His Excellency explained us, it's very dirty and hypocritical, and they say democracy and whatsoever, but I say those people, they're dictators of democracy. We can see it because even though if people don't want his regime, he will force it down on us. You know, like I always used to ask, how can you call yourself a man of the people when you are protected by foreigners from your own people? So that it doesn't add up. You understand? Doesn't really add up. When you bring foreign soldiers to come and protect you, that means that you are afraid of your own people. You do not trust your own people. You know that a lot of your own people do not want you there. You understand? So that's what you have to take into consideration also. And then another thing in the election also, like I said, Adama Barrow, a lot of people they voted for. A lot of people who voted for Adama Barrow, they did not even vote for Adama Barrow. They voted against Yahya Jammeh, and that is a very important note to take also. And he has failed all those people, and we said it from the beginning. There is no way that he can come in and do whatever that you people were asking for. Nobody can do it. Only Allah can do it. And you need a brave leader and a strong leader to do that. Unfortunately, we are not patient enough. You understand, Gambians. Sometimes we are very, very wicked, and we need to learn it the hard way. And inshallah, we will learn it the hard way. And also that we learn because, like I said, we have a chance. His Excellency is still out there, a chance to come back. He has just been nominated for the flag bearer, inshallah. And we hope for a bright future for the Gambia and the APRC. And there's still a chance. He's not the Gaddafi, he's not Saddam Hussein, he's not somewhere in the grave or whatever. He's still out there, and I think what is most important is that he come back to that he come back to power. Excuse me, my phone is ringing here. I think it's whether if he comes back to the Gambia, the most important thing is that he come back and they stop their witch hunting. I have continuously said it. It's very, very important that he's just come back, whether as a president or whatever. Because many people are telling us in the comment box, yeah, Jammeh cannot come back. He will never rule again. APRC, whatever. APRC is finished. Jammeh is gone. He's in exile. Listen, what we want is just dignity and respect for our former leader. That's what all we want. You understand? Whether he come back as a president or whatever. Now he has been nominated as the Supreme Party leader. So there's a good chance for he will be our flag bearer. And that is what you call democracy. This is your erosion of your own democracy. You cannot deny it. Whatever this Coach Pasamba is saying, he's just trying to sit there and speak clever nonsense. You understand? And people want to share it everywhere in the media, and Gambians get confused. Well, let me tell you, it's possible, and it's been done before in other countries, also in Africa, where people come back and become president, and where they even come back not to become president, but where they contest to become president. So it's possible. So forget all this nonsense what they're saying. So what is important for us is that he come back. If he wants to run for president, he can run for president. If he wants to go back to his village and be a farmer, that is what is important for let me say for me. That this is what I'm advocating for. So when they come out there with all that nonsense, yeah, Jammeh is not coming back, he's in exile, whatever, he cannot be president. Listen, whatever he wants for himself, he knows it. We do not know what Yahya Jammeh he wants. If Yahya Jammeh wants to come back and run as a president, I would be at his back. If he comes back, choose not to be to run as a president, I would hope that Gambians will respect our former presidents, just like as as Taura Jawara. Now, even though that Taura Jawara, that there's opinions that he has messed up Gambia as well, also that he divided Gambians, and Gambians also were killed under his regime. There were civil war, not civil war, but almost to the brink of civil war in 1981. But so people are blaming him also for things, but this is the past. He's a leader. This is what happens when in these kind of countries, when we want to talk about democracy and whatever. It's a big problem. Uh, and also that Gambians are saying that yeah. Is Yahya Jammeh is this, is Yahya Jammeh is that, is the leader, is the leaders, is the leaders. Well, let me tell you, you are saying that we are having bad leaders, but a nation is only having bad leaders when people are the worst, then we have the worst leaders. When people we become good, we have the good leaders. You understand? We have to. If you become a better husband, if you become a better neighbor, if you become a better friend, if you become a better co-worker, if you become a better, a colleague at the workplace, and you will find your neighborhood will change, and eventually your society will change. And when your society will change, maybe Gambia will change, but maybe the whole world can change. You understand? But we have to start with ourselves. And this is the problem, that we would like to blame our leaders, we like to blame this and that, but I think also that we are the ones to blame. Look at the situation we Gambians we are in today. We are the ones who caused ourselves this situation by not listening to one another, and by not respecting one another. So we are the root, we are the cause of our own, we are the root of our own cause. We are the root of our own trouble. You understand? Excuse me for my mumbling and jumbling. I get it's very I get irritated when I talk about this issue, because when I look at Gambia today and before, it's totally different. It's a mess, and I don't know where this is going. Understand? We have seen people want to form parties and whatever. Yeah, it's nice that we have the freedom and whatever to form our own parties. We have always had that. It's not the Admiral Barrow who brought that. We have always could form parties in Gambia. But what I'm saying, what is dangerous about people want to form their own party here, there. You want to be blue, you want to be black, you want to be yellow, you want to be green or whatever. What is dangerous is that if this continues, we will always have another party. Bam, bam. People will be set up against each other. You understand? These people fighting here, bam. There will always be a problem. This is why also, not that I'm comparing us to the Quran and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but I'm just saying, why do Allah explain in the Quran that there is only one God? Because if there were more than one God, there would be problem around the world. The gods, they would disagree. Nothing would be in order. Everything is in order. The sun goes down, the sun comes up, and it starts raining, and life is like the whole world is a circle. I do not need to explain. You all know it. It's like a circle. But the problem is that's because there is one God. But if your problem is if you have put more than one God, you understand, there would be confusion. One God, he would want the sun to come out at 12 o'clock. The other one wants 6 o'clock. There would be confusion among the creation. You understand? And this is what I want to use as an example. When you have too many, when heads of state, you have so much confusion. This is where the problem. This is where the problems start to arise. When people are starting to create gangs and camps and political parties and whatsoever. So we have to be very aware of these things. It's very, very dangerous. Yeah, Karafa S, where are you? I saw your message, brother. Karafa S Ababuka, like who they have now. I'm not sure where we are now because I have so many comments here, so it's really hard to find around here, and it's not easy when you are doing all this technology alone, inshallah. But I just want to thank you all for watching this program, and we would have a lot of remembering Yahya Jammeh programs until people finally understand what it is all about. And I really hope that we all pray and hope for the Gambia to the best in the new year. Let's move forward. Let's hope for better ways in the new year. And then inshallah, for all of us, it's not for, I do not mean one specific party or one specific tribe or whatever. You understand me? I don't give a damn about tribe. I hear people starting to talking about me. Yeah, you're from Kasama, as a Jola boy, whatever, brother. Me, I'm not a Jola. I'm not supporting Yahya Jammeh Jola because he's a Jola and I'm a Jola, whatever. Me, my, I'm half caste Bambara, and my grandmother is Fula. You understand? So I'm from all tribes. Tribes do not make any sense to me. I do not even know what tribe is until I started growing elder. You understand? So that was not an issue for me. So let's come together in the new year. Let's hope for our government, to come together and have new visions. Because right now, I don't know. We will have here tomorrow or next tomorrow. I will try to bring for you people. Dimansa Kujabi, is very, very visionary young boy. I really, really like his programs as well. We are trying to get him on this show here, so he will try to explain also some of his views, because I think his views is very, very, they are very, very important also for you people to understand. And sometimes, mostly his programs are in local language, but we will try to bring it on English language for on the Gambia Today news here one of these days, inshallah, maybe tomorrow or next tomorrow. I'm watching Manchester United. Let's see. Nice goal. Sorry, man. It was a beautiful day for us this week. But we will try to have him on, and we will try to discuss more of these things, and he will try to get in also, with more details about these issues that we have. Because right now I can only take the surface, and there's a lot of comments there. I will try to find some of the comments where there are issues to discuss, and then in the next show that we will try to big up you people, and try to dig into your comments on the next shows together with Dimansa Kujabi. So inshallah, tomorrow or next tomorrow we will have our next show where we have Dimansa Kujabi. And out there, Merry Christmas for you and your family out there. It's a very celebrative time in Gambia right now. I know a lot of people who just traveled down there to family and to have um, New Year's Eves and to celebrate the Christmas. So inshallah, all of you have a very, very nice Christmas. But we will talk soon. We will talk before Christmas, inshallah. So, but at least you hope you're a little Christmas Eve, I can say. So for you and your family, may Allah bless you always, always, and may Allah guide our leaders, may Allah guide our people, may Allah bring our youth forward so that they can be the face of a new Gambia, and let us do this may Allah guide us so that we do this for our clean intentions, that we not do this for any favors. We do not do this for any benefits or self-interest. Let's do it for Gambia. Let's do it for our youth, because many of us, we are getting old now. We are up in the age, so we cannot change. We will not benefit from from much of the change, because there's a lot of things to do. So we will not benefit from a lot of the change that we will do, but our children will do, and our grandchildren will do it, and they will be proud of us. They will say that our grandparents were a part of creating this country. Well, I know that I would love my sons and my daughters and their kids to to talk about the APRC as a party, just the way that my father, he told me what APRC was when I came back and started to school in 1998. He started to told me about the story about a young lieutenant who came from the army and saved the country from big problems. And he told me about his time when he was walking around, the time where he was in Banjul in 1981. It's also very important that our youth, that they know that they have a culture, that they have, a base. Don't let our youth not be confused, about, their see many of our youth, they are being, they're being inspired by rap music. They're being inspired by, a lot of these movies and TV series, and a lot of our women, they're inspired by all these singers in the West with their wigs and with their, short skirts. And I'm not trying to come up with a dress code on how we should dress. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that we should have an identity as Gambians, as who we are. You understand that? And we should not be confused that Gambia is for Gambians, that we are Gambians, and let's not be fooled, because that's what they did in Mauritania. It's a longer story. I will also try to get in that on another show. But the way that they spoiled Islam in Mauritania, it was so sad. They came to Mauritania, they saw that everybody was Islamic. They were very Quranic minded, everyone in Mauritania. So they started saying, hey, what But you need electricity. You need water. You don't have water here in the desert, because they were only living in the desert. They were living the desert life. The Western was thinking, how can we destroy this Islamic value, the Islamic lifestyle, the way of living in Islam, how can we destroy it for them? So they start saying, well, but you need water, you need electricity, you need this, you need that. They start came there, and they were confused. And there's one guy from Mauritania. He explains. He says that and they started. Not only did they come and give us water and electricity and whatsoever, TV channels and whatsoever, but they also gave them visas. When they had visas, one guy, he went to America for 10 years to study. When he came back after 10 years, he saw that when he came to Nukashog, or what, cannot pronounce their capital, Nukashog or whatever, but in the capital, he said, hey, they are fighting and talking about what? So the Mauritanians, they were discussing and fighting and debating issues that were never a problem in Mauritania 10 years ago when he left. And he saw that all the elders, all the scholars of Islam, the people who used to, to be a tool of inspiration for the young generation, they have moved longer into the desert because they could not take the lifestyle of the city, development of the city, the way that the West had developed. Some parts of Mauritania, they could not, they were not, it was not their kind of lifestyle, so they start moving away. But this is, so what I mean, be aware. Let us be aware, Gambians. Let us remember who we are. Let us remember where we come from, and then also, this is again a way forward. The only way forward is if you know who you are. If you look up to somebody else, you can never move forward. You create your own way, and this is how you move forward. And inshallah, I want to eat my apple. I want to have a glass of water, inshallah, and tomorrow and next tomorrow, or next tomorrow, we will try and have Dimansa Kujabi on the Gambia Today show for him to share his views, important views on Gambian affairs. So inshallah, Gambia, Merry Christmas. And for you people who do not maybe who will not be on time to join our show tomorrow, next tomorrow, a Merry Christmas, and then a Happy New Year for you and your family out there. May Allah bless you and your family. May Allah bless Gambia. May Allah bless the whole world, and may Allah guide our leaders for a better nation and a better future, inshallah. Because Islam is the only solution. So my people out there, take care, and thank you for watching, and please share the link. And also, if you haven't joined our page, The Gambia Today News, please join our page, and we'll be updated with the next programs and our updates and stuff like that. So please join us next time, inshallah.